The roar of motorcycle engines echoed through the desolate highway, piercing the pitch-black night like a challenge to the silence. Jake, Leo, and Mia rode in tight formation, the chill of the wind whipping through their leather jackets. They were returning from a long journey along the west coast, a ritual the three had maintained since their reckless youth, riding to forget the scars of their past. Jake, with his disheveled black hair and sharp, cold eyes, had once been a firefighter before abandoning everything after a fateful blaze claimed the lives of his team. Leo, tall and lean with a cautious gaze, had grown up in a broken family, finding freedom on the open road. And Mia, petite but tough, was the only one in the group who had faced the loss of her family. Her parents died in a car accident when she was just 15. All three carried voids within them, ones that the rumble of engines and endless roads helped them temporarily escape. The sky was moonless, the road stretching ahead eerily empty, devoid of any cars or signs of life. They had ridden through this area dozens of times, but this time, something felt off. Suddenly, a dark shape darted across their path from the roadside. Jake jolted, slamming on the brakes, the tires screeching sharply against the asphalt. Leo and Mia swerved hard, narrowly avoiding a collision. The bikes came to a stop, their breaths mingling with the cold wind. Under the blinding glare of their headlights, a massive German shepherd appeared, standing tall in the middle of the road like a living statue. Its amber eyes locked onto them, showing no fear, no hesitation. No one dared to move in that tense moment. The dog didn't flee or bark, it simply watched, then abruptly turned, stepping off the road and glancing back with a look that seemed to beckon, a wordless invitation. "What the hell was that?" Jake muttered, a sense of unease rising in his chest like an old flame reigniting. He shot a quick glance at Leo and Mia, his companions who had weathered countless long nights with him. "Did you see the way it looked at us?" Mia asked, removing her helmet, her short hair fluttering in the wind, her voice a mix of suspicion and curiosity. Jake nodded, his eyes still fixed on the dark forest in the distance where the dog had vanished into the shadows. "It wasn't scared, not a typical stray. It wants something from us." Without further thought, he turned off his engine and dismounted with the same determination he once had when rushing into burning buildings. Leo followed, his gaze sweeping over the tree line with the wariness of someone always prepared for the worst. Mia hesitated for a second, then stepped forward, gripping her helmet tightly like a shield. The air grew heavy, the sounds of wind and insects fading, leaving only a suffocating silence, as if the forest itself were waiting for them. "Maybe it's lost," Leo said, his voice dry, though even he didn't believe his own words. They all felt it. This dog wasn't an ordinary stray. Mia stepped closer to the edge of the road, squinting into the darkness between the towering trees, where the headlights only illuminated a small fraction. Suddenly, a pair of amber eyes flashed in the faint light, sharp and resolute. The dog stood there, between the forest and the road, motionless, like a guide waiting for them. "It wants us to follow," Jake said firmly, though a flicker of doubt lingered in his mind, a part of his rational side warning that this could be a mistake. Leo frowned. "But what if it's leading us into a trap? We don't know anything about this place." Jake glanced back at the empty highway behind them, then turned to the dog's silhouette. A powerful instinct surged within him, like the times he'd heard cries for help amidst smoke and fire. This wasn't a coincidence, it was a call he couldn't ignore. He grabbed a flashlight from his bike's bag, switched it on, and stepped toward the forest. Mia and Leo exchanged a quick look, then hurried after him, their shadows merging into the darkness. The German shepherd led the way, its powerful body gliding through the darkness with ease, like a living phantom in the deep forest. "Rex!" Mia called softly, naming it in a spontaneous moment. The name sounded strong, fitting its imposing presence. Rex didn't look back, its steps swift and determined, as if it had known its destination all along. The forest swallowed them the moment they entered, dry branches scraping against Jake's leather jacket, the flashlight's beam dancing across gnarled tree trunks and tangled roots that seemed to rise from the earth like grasping hands. The air grew colder, damp and heavy, carrying the scent of earth and decaying leaves. This forest was unlike any they'd been through before, ancient, profound, as if it held hundreds of untold stories. "What are we even doing?" Leo muttered, ducking under a low branch, his voice tinged with frustration. "Following a dog into the middle of a wild forest. This is insane." Mia, walking close behind, replied, "Maybe it's not so random. Don't you feel it? It knows something." They had left the familiar highway far behind, each step drawing them deeper into another world, a place filled with invisible whispers from the canopy, the hiss of wind threading through the trees, and the sensation of being watched by unseen eyes. Suddenly, Rex stopped. The three of them froze in unison, their breaths heavy. Its ears pricked up, its body taut like a coiled spring, eyes staring into the darkness ahead. Jake held his breath, listening. The forest was eerily silent, save for the faint rustle of leaves, like the forest itself was breathing. Then, a faint sound emerged, a trembling whimper, like a stifled cry amidst the trees. "Did you hear that?" Mia whispered, her eyes widening, her hand tightening around her helmet. Jake nodded, gripping the flashlight harder, its light trembling in his hand. Without another word, he moved forward, Rex remaining still, like a silent guide. The sound came again, slightly clearer, pulling them onward like an invisible thread. Without warning, Rex bolted, darting through the underbrush and tangled roots with astonishing speed. "Rex!" Mia called, but the dog didn't stop. Jake and Leo ran after it, dodging broken branches, their footsteps pounding in rhythm with the thundering of their hearts. Rex came to an abrupt halt near a large fallen tree, its gnarled trunk lying across the ground like a natural barrier. Beneath the dense branches, a small figure emerged. Jake froze, his breath catching in his throat. It was a little girl, about 5 years old, her face smudged with dirt, her tangled hair nearly covering her eyes. She was curled up in a thin jacket, far too flimsy to shield her from the biting cold of the forest night, her small arms wrapped tightly around her knees to preserve what little warmth she had. Rex approached slowly, its tail wagging gently, letting out a soft whine as if to comfort her. The girl looked up, her panicked eyes meeting Rex's. For a moment she didn't move, then recognition flashed in her gaze. "Rex!" she cried, her voice breaking like a dam bursting. She lunged forward, collapsing into its thick fur, clinging to it as if afraid it might vanish, her uncontrollable sobs shaking her small frame. Mia knelt beside the girl, her voice gentle as it had been when she used to talk to her younger cousins. "Hey, sweetheart, it's okay, you're safe now." Jake leaned in closer, the beam of his flashlight sweeping over the girl's body to check for any injuries. "What's your name, kiddo?" The girl hiccuped, burying her face deeper into Rex's fur, her voice choked with sobs. "Lily. Lily Parker." Leo shot a quick glance at Jake, his eyes filled with worry. A child lost in the forest was no small matter. Jake kept his voice calm, the same tone he'd used to reassure victims during fires. "Lily, where are your parents? Are they here with you?" Lily clung to Rex even tighter, her voice trembling, almost a whisper. "My dad, he fell. He told me to stay, but Rex pushed me away. I couldn't find him." Tears streamed down her face again, and Jake felt a lump rise in his throat. How long had she been out here, alone in the biting cold, in a forest devoid of any human presence? "We'll find your dad, Lily," Jake said, placing a hand on her shoulder with the certainty of someone who had once sworn to protect lives. "I promise." Mia took off her jacket, wrapping it around Lily's shivering frame, her voice steady. "You're safe with us now." Rex curled around the girl, its thick fur like a protective shield, its amber eyes glowing with unspoken loyalty. Jake stood up, scanning the dark forest, the flashlight illuminating only a small patch amidst the thick darkness. They couldn't stop. Lily's father was still out there somewhere, and every second that passed could be the difference between life and death. Suddenly, Rex lifted its head, ears pricking up, eyes fixed deeper into the forest as if it had sensed something. "It knows," Mia whispered, her voice tinged with awe as she watched the dog. Rex took a few steps forward, then looked back at them, its body tense, tail stiff, a clear signal. No words were needed, All three understood. This was the moment to act. Follow it, Jake said firmly, his voice carrying the authority of his old days as a firefighter. Leo nodded, adjusting his jacket and exhaling sharply. Let's go. Jake extended a hand to Lily. Come on, kiddo, Rex will lead us to your dad. Lily hesitated, her red-rimmed eyes looking up at him, then took his hand, her other hand still clinging to Rex's neck like a lifeline. They ventured deeper into the forest, the darkness growing thicker, branches snapping underfoot, tangled roots acting like natural traps to impede their path. Jake held Lily's hand tightly, while Mia scooped her up when the girl's small legs began to falter, too weak to keep walking. You're doing great, Lily, Mia whispered, holding her close to shield her from the cold wind, her voice as tender as an older sister's. Lily buried her face in Mia's shoulder, her fingers never letting go of Rex's fur, as if it were the only thing anchoring her in this nightmare. Rex led the way, its nose close to the ground, ears twitching, steps unwavering. It moved with astonishing precision, like a machine programmed to search. Jake felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. A man was injured, possibly on the brink of death, and they were his only hope. He had failed to save people before, had watched helplessly as flames took his teammates, and that memory now drove him forward, refusing to let him stop. How far have we gone? Leo asked, his voice hoarse, his eyes constantly scanning the darkness around them. Doesn't matter, Jake replied, his gaze fixed on Rex. It knows the way. Rex stopped again, its body taut like a coiled spring, eyes staring intently into the darkness ahead. A low groan echoed, faint but distinct, like a plea for help from the edge of death. That's him, Leo said, his voice dropping low. Rex surged forward, darting through the underbrush with unstoppable speed. Jake gripped his flashlight tightly and ran after it, his heart pounding in his chest, with Mia and Leo close behind, Mia clutching Lily in her arms. The flashlight's beams sliced through the darkness, trembling as he picked up his pace. Near a rugged slope, Rex came to an abrupt halt. At the bottom, amidst a pile of fallen leaves and debris, lay a man, his clothes torn, face pale, one leg pinned beneath a massive rock. His breathing was shallow and ragged, each breath a desperate struggle to survive. Dad! Lily screamed, her voice breaking as she wriggled in Mia's arms, desperate to rush down. Jake quickly stepped in front of her, kneeling to block her path. Hold on, Lily, we need to be careful, okay? Mia held her tightly, whispering reassurances, trying to keep the girl calm. Rex had already bounded down the slope, pressing its nose anxiously against the man's chest, whimpering with concern, its tail wagging lightly as if to rouse him. The rock's pinning his leg, Leo said, assessing the situation with a sharp gaze. Jake shone the light closer, the beam revealing the man's ashen face. His eyes fluttered open weakly, unfocused. Jack Parker? Jake asked gently, hoping for a response. The man whispered, his voice barely audible. Rex, it brought you here. A wave of relief surged through Jake. He was alive, though just barely. We need to move the rock, Jake said to Leo, his tone resolute. They found a sturdy branch among the nearby fallen trees and worked together to wedge it under the rock. Ready, Jake gritted his teeth. Push! With a coordinated effort, they threw their weight into the branch, the rock shifting slowly at first, then finally lifting just enough for Jack to pull his leg free with a groan of pain. You're safe now, Jack, Jake said, kneeling to inspect his leg, swollen, bruised, possibly fractured, but no longer trapped. Mia set Lily down, and the girl threw herself into her father's arms, sobbing against his chest. Jack hugged her, his voice breaking with emotion. You're okay, you're okay. Rex licked Jack's face, its tail wagging gently, as if relieved to see him conscious again. But the story didn't end there. Jack, though weak, managed to explain. He and Lily had been camping near the forest when an unexpected storm hit. He slipped down the slope while gathering firewood, and the rock pinned his leg. He told Lily to stay in their shelter, but Rex, the family's loyal dog, had tugged her away, as if sensing they needed rescue. Jack didn't know how long they had been out there, but the cold and pain had nearly broken him, until Rex led these strangers to them. The group resolved to get Jack and Lily out of the forest. Jake hoisted Jack onto his back, each step a grueling challenge over the rough terrain, while Mia held Lily, keeping her warm. Leo took the lead, using a machete to clear a path through the dense trees. Rex stayed by their side, ears pricked, as if ensuring no one was left behind. When they finally emerged from the forest, the headlights of their motorcycles illuminated the highway, bringing a sense of safety after hours of tension. Leo grabbed a spare jacket from the bike and wrapped it around Jack, while Mia called for help on her phone. Luckily, the signal had returned once they left the deep forest. The rescue team arrived quickly, loading Jack and Lily into the ambulance. Before they left, Jack grasped Jake's hand, his voice hoarse. "I owe you my life, and my little girl's." Jake shook his head, offering a faint smile. "Don't thank us. Rex is the hero." The German shepherd stood beside him, pressing its head against Jake's leg, tail wagging vigorously. A week later, 3 motorcycles pulled up in front of a small suburban house with a red-tiled roof and a simple white fence. Lily darted out from the front door, her face beaming with joy, no trace of the fear from that night remaining. "Jake, Mia, Leo!" she squealed, her small arms waving excitedly. Mia laughed heartily, crouching down to hug the girl. "Hey there, kiddo, you're looking so much better!" Jack appeared at the doorway, leaning on crutches but standing tall, a warm smile on his face. Beside him was his wife, Sarah, who had cried herself dry upon hearing that her husband and daughter had gone missing. "I don't know how to thank you enough," Jack said, his voice thick with gratitude. Sarah stepped forward, embracing each member of the group, whispering, "You're our angels." Jake shook his head, pointing to Rex. "Don't thank us. He did it all." Rex bounded out from behind Jack, tail wagging furiously, running straight to Jake and pressing its head against his leg. Jake knelt down, giving the loyal dog a firm pat. "Good boy, Rex." Mia looked around at the small family reunited, Lily's radiant smile, Jack recovering day by day, and Sarah's face free of worry. A warmth swelled in her chest. This was why they had followed Rex into the darkness, not just to save lives, but to rediscover faith in the goodness of the world. But the story held one final surprise. Sarah revealed that Rex had once been part of a police training program, bred and trained for search and rescue, but was deemed too stubborn, and removed from the program. The Parker family had adopted him from a shelter, never imagining that one day he would save their lives. "He never gives up," Jack said, looking at Rex with pride in his eyes. "And now he's brought you to us." The next day, Jake, Leo, and Mia returned to the highway, sunlight now illuminating the hills that had once been cloaked in darkness. They stopped at the spot where they first encountered Rex, gazing into the forest that now looked peaceful under the daylight. "Do you think we'll ever see him again?" Leo asked, his tone half joking, half serious. Mia smiled. "If fate wills it." Jake said nothing, only staring deep into the forest, his hand resting on the handlebar. He knew Rex hadn't just led them to Lily and Jack, he had guided them to something greater, the meaning of never giving up, no matter how thick the darkness.